Well, I think the cross, I had written a piece once in response to the Gospel Coalition that, they had argued that the cross was a sign of God's intolerance. And I responded to the Gospel Coalition and said, no, actually the cross is a sign of God's tolerance, that he's willing to come and to pitch his tent among us and to teach us the right way to live at the price of tolerating the violence that we enact against God. And so, yeah, absolutely, we have to begin to recover this idea of reconciliation and restorative justice. There are so many different types of justice, but for some reason here in the West, we've just become drunk on this retributive justice. Honestly, growing up, that was the only kind of justice I had ever known as a conservative evangelical. When I studied biblical justice in seminary under Dean Boardman, an Episcopal priest, my mind was just blown to realize my entire concept of justice was completely whack and not in line what would actually the Bible has to say about justice and restoration. But yeah, I love that you bring up that line by Jesus, because I was just reading that yesterday where he sent some folks away. He said, listen, go and learn what it means when it says, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. Almost like that was a starting point. Like, listen, you need to go and you need to understand what that means before we can even go on to step two. Because we desire, God desires mercy. And in fact, in Micah it says that we are to do justice and to love mercy. And then we're to love showing people mercy. And I would just love to recover a Christian culture here in the United States that actually loves mercy. I think that we've tried to do justice, although it's been a perverted sense of justice. But what about loving mercy? I want to hear the second half of what Micah had to say lived out. And even the third part as well, to walk humbly. Those things, I want to see those lived out. I think if we began to really rediscover the radical message of Jesus, we would just really see a Christian culture do some amazing things, because we have the ability to impact our culture for good or for bad. And obviously, if you know who I am, I'm quite critical at the way the previous generation has handled things. But I have a lot of hope for the future generation. If you've ever been to a justice conference, that's a big and growing thing. It's amazing to see just the mainstream Christians who are passionate about restorative justice and fixing what is broken and just making the world a little more right. So I think what you're going to see is a big push in this next generation. I'm excited to imagine what things might look like when my daughter has children, because I think we're moving in the right direction. People are realizing that these old, antiquated ways of viewing things just don't work.
Ben, that's precisely when I was coming up here in the car, I was listening to an ad for a certain drug or pharmaceutical, didn't matter. It was talking about the fact that it was talking about early detection and preventive action is what is needed. Now, that's medicine. That's big science. We know these things are true, but we don't apply them to our society. Restorative justice is about early detection and preventive action. And the strange thing about our culture is that we call ourselves a Christian culture. By the way, we're the only ones who do. And you most often hear that in the media expressed with anger. We're a Christian culture. Well, look at our prison system. We're the most vengeful culture to its offenders. That's perfectly clear. And we are sold on the idea of retributive justice, which is simply vengeance. And if we could have restorative justice, that would be early detection, which we go into these communities and deal at every level with all age groups. And preventive actions, we would not have this. And by the way, yes, I'm with you. I'm hopeful.